Hello, clan fans. So, I am just about to watch the season 5 finale of Outlander. I am honestly terrified to see how this episode is going to go. I know Claire is going to go through a lot. I'm not 100% prepared, but I'm going to watch it tonight on Saturday because I really didn't want to watch it on Mother's Day. I don't know how it ended up ending up on Mother's Day, but I thought since Stars was going to release it on the app early, I would take advantage of that this once. Alright, so I will be back in an hour or so with my opinion on the episode. Here we go. Hello, clan fans. So, just watched the season 5 finale of Outlander, and I have to say this was one of the most brilliant, well done episodes that I've seen, and it was really a difficult one to get through, and I think it goes to say that I will be talking about some dark subject matter in this video. So if the episode did bother you with that, you don't have to watch this. But I'm going to give my thoughts on the episode first. That way I can talk about the dark stuff later in the video. So in the episode, a lot happened. There was a lot of amazing symbolism that they actually talked about at the end of the episode that I didn't even think about, and to hear it from the producers and the creators, it made me appreciate the episode even more, because so much thought was put into this, so much time and effort, and just to see how it all came together, it made for a very artistic episode even. And it was not what I was expecting, but thankfully it was still hard to get through, don't get me wrong. It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. I still think Wentworth is one of the hardest episodes to get through. I don't think anything will ever beat that. This does come to a close second, though, I will say. It's a tough one. But the way that they got through it in less than an hour, it's amazing how they were able to wrap up the story and get us into a good place where we don't have to worry about Claire till season 6. Thank God. I was so worried about that. I honestly was physically sick. Not terribly, but you know, those nervous butterflies that you get. I was feeling that all week because I didn't know what was going to happen in this episode entirely, where they were going to leave us off, especially because we might have a longer hiatus than we were planning to originally have. So, yeah, I'm so grateful that we don't have to worry about that. So that is what I'm very thrilled about. And let me talk about the actors. They were amazing in this episode. Okay, honestly, Katrina and Sam are brilliant in every episode they're in. They need Emmys. They just never get recognized. This is something I've been frustrated about since season 1. Because honestly, Wentworth was so Emmy Award winning for Sam, and even Kat. Just seeing both sides of how they were dealing with the trauma. You see that in this episode too, except it's switched. So it was interesting to see them almost like switching places in this episode. And the acting just was so brilliant. Well done. To see Katrina like, she was going through, her character, obviously, Claire, was going through, like, one of the worst things you could imagine anyone going through. And not just that, but to see Sam bring so much pain and hurt to when he sees what has happened to Claire, that they rarely ever focus on, and the show does a great job of doing that. You don't just see the victim, you see the person who loves the victim and wants to do nothing but keep them safe, and to see that they haven't been kept safe even for a moment. You see that pain, that hurt. Sam just did that so beautifully. I had tears in my eyes just seeing that. So, it was just heartbreaking. And I love those two. They play the heck out of these roles. This is not easy content to act, guys. It's tough, it's challenging. I remember reading Sam, he really needed like some time off of, like, just away from the world after he filmed Wentworth. I can imagine Katrina probably felt that way after this episode too. So yeah, just amazing. What they give us, it's brilliant. And everyone this season has been amazing. And I will talk about that more at the end for the season as the whole, because it's honestly been a great season, guys. I went into this not knowing too much. Like, I knew a few of the main storylines, subplots, but of course there was also the addition of Murtaugh, not knowing what was going to happen to him because he was a new addition, keeping him alive. So yeah, just season's been incredible, honestly. Alright, now without further ado, I would like to talk about the episode where I will be discussing the events that happened. So if you guys were bothered by this, please feel free to... You don't have to watch this part, I understand. So, Season 5, Episode 12. And this was just honestly one of the best episodes Outlander has given us, in my opinion. So we start with not what we expect. We actually don't get the typical opening theme, which I know people have been complaining about that, but interestingly, in the end credits, we get the original version of the theme. So that part was interesting. I'm sure that made fans happy. But instead, what we start with is we get like the flashbacks of mostly the Brown storyline and also Brianna and Roger leaving, but we don't get it in the typical fashion where they show the scenes playing out with the audio. We get just silent like flashes of these moments, which I thought actually made it very effective. It's almost like life flashing before your eyes kind of situation. So in a way that was kind of neat, like that's something you would kind of experience when something bad has happened to you. So that was honestly a brilliant way of opening up. And we don't start particularly with Claire in her situation. We open up with Claire in the 60s. So she's in a house, like almost like a summertime out in the suburbs kind of house. And this is a very 60s house, by the way. She's just sitting on the couch and she's looking at a painting. And this painting is like an abstract... Oh, hello, Lily. This is my other cat, Lily. Say hi. She is my Adso. Female version. So yes, she is looking at an abstract painting, and we don't quite know what's going on because we're thinking maybe, oh, this is just a flashback because we've been getting these a bunch this season. But no, because suddenly somebody walks into the room behind her. we don't see who it is exactly until they zoom in. It's Jamie. Jamie in the 60s. I was not expecting that. So here's what's going on with this situation. Claire is not having a flashback to the 60s. She is having what they call a dreamscape. Oh, she's cuddly. This is her escapism because we see that she is not in the 60s in the seconds. Not in the second. In the moment. God, I can't. So many thoughts going through my head. So we see that she's already in a state where she has been tortured, beaten, and we later see that she has indeed, she's already been raped. So they slowly kind of reveal more and more what's happened to her, but we keep flashing back to the escapist dream, back to after they had taken her. We do see that the men are just, ugh, I hate these men. Especially, yeah, don't we? Lionel Brown is the slimiest character. Like, you would think Bonnet was gonna be like the worst villain this season, but Lionel Brown really, he's almost level with Bonnet. Just, he's kidnapped Claire because he doesn't like that she's written the whole Dr. Rawlings thing. He doesn't like that she's telling women to avoid being impregnated by men, and he's just, you know, men in those times were like, birth control, what is that? Some men even today are still like that, but, you know, religious purposes. Sorry. So yeah, we just keep getting the flashbacks of all the events that led up to her being tortured and raped. We don't see the initial rape, but we do see that men are taking turns. I hate gang rapes. It's one of the worst, honestly. Like, it's bad enough when it's one person, but when it's a bunch of people doing this horrible, horrible act, no morals whatsoever, it's so disgusting and horrific. We do meet one man. His name is, he calls himself Wendigo Donner, and he's noticed Claire's mannerisms, and he reveals to her that he, in fact, is also a time traveler. He's from 1968. He traveled with a group of Native Americans, including Ottertooth, who he only knew by his actual name, which was Robert, I can't think of the last name. We learned about that in the journal that Ian had brought back with him. So, he's a time traveler as well. However, he does not help Claire. It could be like the survival situation where he doesn't think they'd make it because they're outnumbered, but he could have tried, honestly. He knew the situation, but it's more like, yeah, no, you're a woman in this strange time, but you should have known better kind of situation. It's like, help her, guy. So, he actually eventually disappears. We don't really see what happens to him, so I think he will be returning in season 6. I think he does have more of a storyline in book 6. I'm not positive on that, but I think I do recall he does appear again. So, while Claire is having her escapism dream, it turns out it's not really the most comforting thing she's envisioning, because she does see the whole family there. She sees everybody in 60s clothing and hairstyles, and one of my favorite moments was seeing Murtaugh there. Murtaugh and Jocasta together, and they were playing with the kids, and it was just... This episode really hit you in the feels, let's just say. So we see everybody except Brianna, Roger, and Jemmy aren't there, and supposedly they're coming later. But eventually Claire goes to answer the door because there's police there, and they inform her that the family, Bri and her family, have been in a car accident and were killed. And this just like kind of brings Claire out of that comfort. And you can see like throughout that the Browns and the men are kind of making appearances throughout, but that is what really like awakens the moment. But we don't go back to Claire. Instead, it is a transition into seeing what happened to Bri and Roger. So in the last episode we saw that they were going to return back to the 1970s. And we didn't know where they ended up because Jemmy ran off and Bri and Roger were looking straight ahead wondering, what the heck? So, I'm sorry, like some of the theories that people came up with were just hilarious. I loved the one where it shows Bri and Roger looking out thinking, what the devil, and they show the next picture is dinosaurs. And, as funny as that would have been, I don't think that happened in the books. Hello, goodness. She's trying to get on camera here. But yeah, so that is not the case. Instead, they see young Ian. In other words, they're still in the 1770s. Didn't go anywhere. And Bri and Roger admit to each other that they were thinking of home, but you can kind of tell that they were probably thinking not 20th century home, but 18th century home. And there was a theory that maybe Jemmy, like he was the one keeping them there because that's the only home that he knows. But maybe it was actually just Bri and Roger thinking of it. So I'm glad that they stayed because they're not supposed to go back to the future like till a while later. They're supposed to have another kid too. So that gives me hope that Amanda will show up in season 6. I'm excited to see her. So Roger, Bri, Ian, and Jemmy travel back to Fraser's Ridge. And what happens is that Bri and Roger see the cross has been lit, which means that Jamie has called the men. And they return home, and they learn about what happened to Claire. Roger volunteers to go because he has sworn to Jamie that he will follow him, which I'm really glad that they brought moments from episode 1 into play in this season finale. So I loved that they connected that. So we don't really see how they get there, what happens entirely, but the next thing we see is that Claire starts to awaken and she sees that the men are in battle, there's gunshots, screams. Jamie found the crazy men, and then his men are killing them just one by one. And even Roger kills one of the men, which he does feel guilty about later and admits to Bri, because he tries to be a moral person. Kind of like Claire, except more religiously than Dr. Oath. So Claire is thankfully rescued, and this is the moment that just nearly broke my heart, which I mentioned when Jamie finds Claire, and you see, he sees her, and his heart breaks. You can see it in his eyes, and he doesn't even have to say anything. That moment was just so powerful, and it shows their bond, how strong it is, and it's just one of, honestly, this has become one of my best moments of Jamie and Claire. Not the situation that they're in, but just to see the bond that they have. So thankfully, Claire is saved in that moment. There are still a few men alive, and she doesn't want to give the signal to go ahead and kill them. So Jamie tells the men, and this is apparently his famous line, "Kill them all." So Fergus and young Ian go to take care of that. All the men are dead except good old Lionel Brown. Still alive somehow. The wicked never die easily. So they take him back and they tie him up in Claire's surgery. That's actually a fitting prison for him. And Claire is obviously horribly, horribly traumatized by all of this, and understandably so. This is not something anyone would ever want to go through, or anyone would ever wish on anybody to go through. So thankfully Bree is there to comfort her mother, and she tries to comfort her while she's bathing. She leaves and lets her alone, except she does tell her mother that if she wants to talk, that she is offering her hand, and she's also offering her ear if she wants to talk, which is basically what Lizzie told her after her rape. And I thought that was such a beautiful thing to bring up in that moment, that Bree is now the one comforting her mother because of a rape. So you see how this family is so strong together, how much they care about each other, and if one of them goes through something, they will always be there to help each other out. Of course, if their time traveling endeavors don't work out in that situation. But yeah, it was a beautiful moment. And at one point, Claire does go down to the surgery because she is tempted to end Lionel Brown's life, which it is tempting for the audience too. She is about to do something to him. You see her grab the scalpel, and of course Lionel Brown's still being an ass. He's just complaining about how he is tied too tight and he wants food, and it's like, wow. Clearly this guy has no sense of wrong or right. So Claire is very tempted to end the man, but she has another moment where she envisions herself in the 60s escapist dream, and we see an orange. So I didn't even realize, because I'm wondering, what is the significance of the orange? And I learned at the end of the episode when they were talking about it that it was actually a season 2, like, symbolic moment where Claire had gone to the King of France, and she took the orange after she let him have his way with her. And it's a significant moment where it's like, you are not going to take away my sanity. I'm not going to let you win. I am still going to be myself no matter what. And she puts the scalpel down, walks out of the room, and as hard as it was for her, because she breaks down bawling when she's alone, it was so much strength just to see her say, no, I am not going to do this. I made an oath. Even in her darkest moments, she upholds that oath. And that is a strong character right there, guys. Marsley, however, she has made no such oath, and she has her own way of being strong, because she prepares a little dosage for Mr. Brown, where she injects water hemlock, which is very poisonous, into him and kills him. And she tells him while she's doing it that you hurt me, you hurt my family, and you hurt my ma. So I will make sure that you hurt no one else. So that was the end of Lionel Brown. And honestly, like, even though Marsley was afraid for her soul after that because she killed a man, but Jamie comforts her, and honestly, Marsley did right in that moment because she killed a terrible, terrible man who was doing nobody good. And it was just such a strong character moment for Marsley that we really haven't seen too much of. So just that moment, just, she's officially one of my favorite characters, honestly. She's amazing. Lauren Lyle, she is great as Marsley, and I do hope we get to see even more of her in season 6. And I know there's going to be more storylines with Fergus and Marsley, so I am looking forward to that. Alright, let's see. So basically, with Lionel Brown gone, Jamie takes the body back to Brownsville, and he drops the body at his brother's feet. And he informs him that he had to do what he had to do. Richard is somewhat understanding, you think. However, the second Jamie turns his back, Richard's like, oh, by the way, yeah, no, I'm gonna get my vengeance too, so watch out. Season 6 villain? Maybe? I don't know. We'll find out. So yeah, Browns for now are out of the picture, at least until season 6. Maybe later, I don't know. I'm just glad Lionel is out of the picture. He was the worst. I hated his character so much. The actor who played him did a great job playing a despicable, horrible character though, so I commend him for that. So, with all of that behind them, for the most part, obviously trauma doesn't go away, but Claire is slowly healing. And we see that Brianna and Roger don't regret staying at the Ridge. They're happy to be there now. And that's really nice to see. And Claire and Jamie, in the last scene of the episode, spend a night in bed together, just holding each other naked, and it's just a healing moment for both of them. Not just Claire, but for Jamie to know that he can be there for her, to know that she's safe, and for Claire to know that she's safe. And that is where it ends. And we hear the original Skyboat song in the end credits with the rainfall in the background. Honestly, it was just, I'm so grateful they ended it where they did. I was so afraid they were going to end this on a cliffhanger and we were going to have to wait like a year and a half or 2 years till we found out what happened. I am glad that for the most part, Outlander does not leave us on huge cliffhangers. So this one definitely was a great place to end the season. We know that there's more to come. There's obviously the American Revolution to come. We know that Richard Brown is seeking revenge, but it's problems for later. It's not immediate. So definitely a great place to leave it off for now. And it also just gives us hope for the characters. So I am very, truly grateful that that is where they ended the episode. Alright, so season 5 as a whole, like I said, it was honestly an amazing season. There were some parts that weren't my favorite, but, you know, that's shows in general. You're not going to like every single minute of it, but honestly, the moments that happened in this season, there were so many milestones, so many major character moments, and poor Murtaugh. Honestly, his death was just one of the saddest moments in the show's history. And I'm glad his character got a little more time, like I have mentioned. It was great to see him continue on up until the point of mid-season 5. And to see him in the finale, that was I loved that. And to see him with Jocasta, it's almost like a what if situation. If only. And also, I want to say, like, they did say that this season was going to be super, super dark. There were going to be some tough moments to get through, and they weren't lying. There were some really hard moments, and it was mostly like Murtaugh, Jamie being bitten by the snake, having a near-death experience, and just this finale, what Claire went through, so heartbreaking. And you see, like, Claire, like, she even mentions all that she's been through, and she won't ever let it break her. So, just, you keep getting these moments with Claire every season where there are these things that happen to her that so many people, it's so hard to overcome. And to see somebody overcome them, it just gives you so much hope. And like, the show also points out that it's okay to be hurt. It's okay to feel vulnerable for a moment, because that's what makes us human. And the show does a great job of showing that you can have these moments and you can also find a way to get through them. So just this whole season was a lesson in that. Because you start with this beautiful wedding that Brie and Roger are having. It's a happy moment, but then life just goes south so quick, and the characters go through so much, but then in the end, they survive, and they're there, and they find ways to, they manage somehow to live with the trauma, and it is definitely something that's not easy to do. But to see it done in a show with characters that you just admire so much, it does give you hope. So I love that Outlander brought that this season. And I will say, one of my favorite moments from the season was definitely Brie and Roger's wedding. Just that moment of them getting married and Claire and Jamie flashing back to their own wedding in season 1. There were so many things that were just from past seasons that made their way into this season. So many flashbacks and recalls, and I just love it when shows do that, because it shows that no, we haven't strayed too far from the original material. It's still there, and it did feel like they were connected to all those seasons. So I love that. So yeah, we're done, guys. We're in Droughtlander. No! But you know, it's a Droughtlander that at the moment I'm not feeling too dreadful about, because like I said, the finale ended in a place where we don't have to fret for Claire, where we don't have to worry about a cliffhanger that just happened and it's like, I need to know what happens. There's moments that they drop that will be future problems, but it's not an immediate issue, so I think this Droughtlander won't be as difficult as some have been in the past. Yeah. And one thing I was promising to show was some of my fan art that I've done for the show, and I would like to do that. If this all works out, you will see a quick little slideshow of some of the pieces I have created based on pictures from the show. If it doesn't work out, then you will just see me in 1 second. So, if it works, please enjoy my artwork. I am continuing to work on more. Working on a season 5 piece, in fact, right now. But not quite finished, so I'm not going to show that one. But, yeah, enjoy what I have. fans, please tell me what you thought of season 5 as a whole. Tell me what you thought of the finale. And I will say one last time, acting was brilliant, writing was brilliant, everything was just so well done this season. And I know people have talked about that our dear Lord John might not be returning, possibly, which is honestly surprising. I think he's not supposed to be in season 6, and of course, the actor who plays him, blanking out his name, no. I can easily look it up. I have my laptop right here. But yeah, there has been talk of him not returning at all. But I honestly think it's just because of the uncertainty. Mostly because we don't know if seasons 7 and 8 are going to happen. So if Lord John isn't in book 6/season 6, and we don't know if 7 and 8 are going to happen, that could be why he is saying goodbye. We don't really know for sure, but David Barry. I knew it started with a D and I couldn't think what it was. So yeah, David Barry has said that it was his final episode in the last episode. We don't know if he means permanently for, like I said, it's most likely because of the season renewals that haven't happened yet. Or maybe there will be a spin-off series, because they have been talking about doing a Lord John spin-off series, which would be interesting. But that's not for certain yet, so yeah, we'll just have to see what happens. I don't think it's a permanent goodbye, in my opinion. It could just be the final one for the foreseeable future. So let's hope we will see him in season 7 or 8. Let's hope we get renewed for that. Because book 9 is coming out. We need to at least get to the end of the show and of the books. So much up in the air right now. Yeah, guys. Thank you for joining me for season 5. This was quite a journey. Not a journey cake, but a journey. It's a throwback to episode 11. And also may I say that episode 12's title, Never My Love, was just a beautiful title. It's almost like saying, like Jamie saying to Claire, never will I let anyone hurt you. You will always be safe with me. And it could almost be like Claire saying, I will never let any man destroy me. I will always get through it. So never, my love, will I be defeated. So yeah, it's a brilliant title. Alright, guys. I hate goodbyes myself. I might try to see if I can do more videos. I might do some Outlander themed videos, maybe like top 5 moments of some sort. I don't know for sure. I can't entirely guarantee that. I might do a video on the Netflix series Hollywood, so if you want to check that out, I will see if I can get that done sometime this week. Yeah. Seeing the finale early was weird, but I'm glad I didn't watch it on Mother's Day, because it would have been a little tricky. It just felt like a weird episode to watch on Mother's Day, but for those of you that are, it's just my thing, that is all. I hope you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you soon, guys. Either for future videos coming up, or season 6. Alright, take care. I know it's a crazy time, but remember, guys, we must brave the new world. I am trying to get that in frame as best I can. That is something we must do right now. So like Claire and Jamie, let us brave the new world. Have hope. Be strong. and we will see a hopeful future soon. Alright guys, have a good day, good week, good year. May you stay safe, may life be kind, and see you soon. Bye.